I feel like every single time I sit down to do a new YouTube video, I have something new up in my room. Today we've been joined by Heathcliff. Anyways, hello everybody. I am back yet again with another YouTube video, and the microphone is charged again. You'll be pleased to know. I just really wanted to sit down and do another YouTube video and just do like a quickish one that I can do in about 20 minutes. You know, I don't want to do like a really long one. I have got one planned, however. I have got a really long YouTube video planned, but that's going to take that's not just one that I can sit down and talk about in 20 minutes. I mean, I need like pages and pages of notes before I can sit down and talk about it. I need like extensive planning. I need to block an entire day out where I just sit and film and edit it, because it's going to take me hours. But anyways, hello everybody. If you've seen the title of this video, then you will know that you are watching my ranking, my top 10 TNS characters, whatever you want to call it. Call it what you want. Call it what you want, yeah. One more thing before we begin. Hi, my name is Tilda, but you may also know me as EldenSuckyCoin2 over on TikTok, where I've been posting my videos on there for over a year now. I can officially say it's been a year. It was a year on July 15th. And if you don't already follow me on there and you haven't come from there, then I would really, really appreciate that you go and follow me on there, because it would really mean a lot to me. I'd really appreciate it. I can't say anything about getting to 1,000 followers now, because I kind of already did that. So yeah, without anything new, without anything more, let's just get into the video. So in 10th place in my ranking goes to the Queen of Acro herself, everyone's favourite redhead, the bubbly ball of energy, Queen Giselle. Now, I don't really know what that explanation was, but that's all that I think when I see Giselle. Now, obviously, Giselle was in seasons 1, 2, 4. She was like properly in. Then we saw her again in season 6, then in season 8, then in season 10. She's just a character that I really, really enjoy watching. Like, she didn't really seem to have many moments. Like, she didn't have many storylines. Obviously, her biggest storylines were probably season 1, when she got kicked off of A Troop, and then season 3, when she became dance captain and she took them to internationals and everything. But she was just always so happy to be there, and she was just a really nice character that I feel like always gets a little bit like, people overlook her, because especially in like season 2, because they don't really see her as like, you know, they forget that she's there. But like, I think she's so sweet. I just think she's so cute. And also, as someone who has met Jordan Clark and actually had her touch my arm because I was crying hysterically when I met the cast, I will say she is genuinely, like, just based on like what I saw from her at the tour, she is just Giselle in real life. Like, if you think that Giselle is just like this bubbly, lovely personality, Jordan is exactly the same. Like, they made Giselle's character so perfectly for Jordan, because Jordan plays her so well. Like, she is literally just her. Her dancing is also so like amazingly tea. Like, obviously, I don't really comment on the dancing when it comes to TNS, because I myself am not a dancer. I don't know anything about dance. Anything and everything looks good to me in TNS. You know, I'm like, well, they've all been cast because they can dance, so like anything is good. But her acro is actually insane. Obviously, her and Amy, which I don't really like Amy as a character, but her dancing is insane. Amy, like, as Emily says in season 5 about the fact that Amy is basically just like a mini Giselle. She is, like, Giselle is the footprint of everything. And I really, really love the scene in season 2 when A Troop are helping out with the J Troopers, and she's got Becca wants to do the spider, so she gets her to bridge walk and everything. And I just think it's really, really cute. Like, the way that she interacts with her is so cute. In season 3, I like how we did see her taking a bit more of a leadership role. We saw her standing up for herself. With Chantel, we saw a bit more of a kind of like, not aggressive side to Giselle, but we saw her actually standing up and like not just staying silent for once, and not just like realizing that being happy and being nice isn't always going to get you what you want. You know, like, sometimes you do just have to tell people how it is. And yeah, her When the War is Over solo at internationals was absolutely like insane. I love watching that. It's so good. Obviously, the eyebrows are like kind of something to be, but it's so good. And I really, really like how quickly she was able to step in for Riley. Like, that was just amazing dance captaincy from Giselle in season 3. So that is why Giselle makes spot number 10. The next character, which I feel like every single person that watches TNS probably has this character in their top 10 characters. I feel bad putting him so low, and this is not because I don't like him as a character, but it's just because there's other characters that I prefer more. It is, of course, our king, former Compass of Seeds, West, East, North. I've just noticed that the last 2 characters that I've just done are the only characters in TNS to actually have canon last names, except for Michelle. But Michelle's wasn't actually ever said in the show, so I genuinely don't think I've ever met a single person that does not like West. West was just, I think, probably one of the best characters that like anyone has ever written ever, because he was so funny. Like, his comedic timing, like Lamar Johnson played West so well, and I'm really happy to see him stepping into the more like mature roles and stuff in different kind of shows and films and everything. But I love that he started out as this, this goofy, funny character, but also if you see scenes in like season 5 with Kingston, he can be serious at times as well. He can be serious whilst also getting his job done, but he also doesn't see the need to have to stress out about everything, like, for example, like Daniel does. He doesn't see the need to have to get all stressy, because to him, dance is fun. Dance is something that has always been fun to him. Dance isn't that. To him, he's always just given the impression that, he dances for fun, and that if you dance, it should be because you enjoy it and because you want to have fun. It shouldn't be because you want to win every competition title. I just think that, like, the line delivery of a lot of his lines was absolutely incredible. He's just a really funny character. I didn't like the West and Emily thing, but I have said this before, I'll say it again. I do not think that West is a character that should be in a relationship, and I'm really happy that they did not give him a relationship. Just because of how he is, I don't think that he needed to be tied down to a relationship. Like, I don't think that he needed to be defined by a relationship like a lot of the other characters were. Because, for example, his friends were James and Eldon. Eldon obviously had countless relationships throughout the show. James had a relationship with Riley. James didn't seem to have a personality outside of Riley. Eldon didn't seem to have a personality, especially in like season 3, outside of Talia. He didn't seem to have a personality in season 2 outside of Michelle. He didn't seem to have a personality in season 1 outside of Emily. Like, the whole time they were friends. That's why I really appreciated it in season 4. Even though Eldon was still, like, wanting Talia big time, I did really like their kind of like bond, because James was leaving to go back to Riley and everything, but we did get to see some like quality scenes from the boys. But I just think that every single time West showed up in a scene, it was absolutely like brilliant. And obviously I'm forever going to mourn the fact that like Lamar couldn't be there for the finale, because I just genuinely think that like West being there would have been the perfect like addition. Like, it would have just made everything. And obviously it's heartbreaking that he couldn't be there. But he's just, I love West so much, and I think that if I ever had someone tell me that they don't like West in the next step, I'd convince them that they have to be lying, because I don't understand how you can hate him. The next character that I feel like this character, he does not get enough appreciation as he should. Like, he really does not get his 10s, and I never see anyone talk about him, because I guess he kind of goes a little bit under the radar, and it is Max from season 3. Now, obviously, Max was on A Troop from like season 3 episode 4 or 5, I want to say, up until season 4 episode 1. So he was not on A Troop for long. He really wasn't, because obviously he came in from Elite. He was part of the merge. He was just a really cute guy. I really liked how at the start, he didn't seem too like confident at being able to talk to others, and even though he didn't really speak that much, he didn't seem to do a lot. He did manage to make friends, and we saw him like with the boys and everything when they had the scene with him, James, West, and then Ella as well, when they were doing the whole like competition against Ella. I thought it was really, really like sweet that Max was being included in that little group, and that like they were talking to Max and stuff. And I just think, like, first of all, his dancing is really good. Like, Devon's dancing is really, really good. I love it. And I really, really love Max. He's just a really cute character. Like, I've always loved him. Ever since I saw him in season 3 first, like, ever since I ever met the character, I've just really loved him. I've had such a soft spot for him, and I can't even describe why. It's just that every time he's on screen, I just feel the need to, like, squeal, because he's just so cute. So, yeah, my explanation as to why Max is in my top 10, short but sweet. He's really, really sweet. Like, I love him so much. Now, Nostalgia Warriors, here is probably where you're going to want to click off from the video, because I only have one character left in this whole ranking that isn't from Gen 3, and even then, she does actually play, like, reasons when I like her is when she's later on into the seasons, so. But the next character in spot number 7, who I'm so happy that she is in my top 10, that I finalised that she is in my top 10, she's our bubbly little angel. We love her. It is Miss Olive. Now, Olive, when I first saw her in season 9, I really, really did like her. We're going to have to ignore my dog barking, okay? Can we just, like, not talk about it, please? Thanks. I really, really liked her. I just thought that when she had the little introduction, when her and Adele were, like, waving at Abby, and when she was like, I'm Olive, Adele's my best friend, she was so sweet. And, like, she's just, I feel like she was such a breath of fresh air when it comes to TNS, because we hadn't really had a character like Olive, I don't think, before, where, I mean, I've always seen her a lot as like Giselle, for example. Like Giselle obviously came in, she was just seemed like such a breath of fresh air, but obviously Giselle, one of the first scenes was rough, she was sad because she got kicked off of A Troop. But Olive came in, she was just this bubbly little personality, and she was just like this incredible dancer. And she was just so happy to be there. She was so happy with her friends. Like, she just loved her friends. She had so much love for everybody on the team, and she just wanted to dance on a team that like really would like her and accept her. And she was just so happy. Obviously, in season 9, she did have a little bit of like tension with Ariana, especially when like Ariana ends up getting the international solo when Anthony takes it off of Olive and gives it to Ariana. But I really do think that she did get her tens in season 9. Like, as much as I wish that she did do the international solo, I do think that like Olive did get a lot of screen time in season 9, and I am really, really happy with like the direction that they took with that character in season 9. But I do kind of feel like she didn't have a storyline other than like ones that were to do with other people. So for example, in season 9 it was all about Ariana, and then Adele was just kind of like the, I'm not really too sure how to describe it, like she was kind of she was just kind of like the side kick, I guess, you know? Obviously, in season 10, we know from me, I am a massive, massive shipper of Jonah and Olive. Am I a diehard Jollive shipper? Yes. I really, really wish that they ended up like doing something that was more than friends with them, and I like heavily headcanon that like they would get together after like Olive leaves the Comets and everything. Like, I heavily headcanon that they would get together after season 10, and then obviously Olive went to the Comets, so I heavily headcanon that like she comes back or like she leaves the Comets, and then you know, like I heavily headcanon that. And I like how they gave Olive a friendship that wasn't just to do with the power trio. Like, I know that Jonah initially only became friends with her because he wanted on A Troop, but he stayed friends with her even when he was on A Troop, you know? Like, they were really good friends. He clearly saw her for who she was, and he really did like her as a person. Obviously, he saw her, the first thing that he said was, wow, Olive is incredible. Like, I know that initially he tried to use her to get onto A Troop, but then it did seem clear that he did want to remain friends with her, and it was really refreshing and nice to see that she had a friendship that wasn't like, he wasn't just another part of the power trio like Jet was, you know? Like, Jet just kind of was added to the power trio, and then Olive just kind of automatically became friends with her. It was really refreshing to see that Olive got her own friendship, and Jonah, we didn't really see him friends with anybody else except for like Grace, but even then I wouldn't really know if you classify them as friends. So it was really nice to see him and her interacting, like her get her own little friendship and her get her own couple of like episode storylines. I massively like think that Olive was in the right in season 10 when like especially when Ariana kept the whole brawl thing from her. And I think as well with Olive is the fact that obviously she always wanted to do what was best for A Troop, but I think as well a lot of the reason why her rage comes is because Ariana did the brawl with Grace and not with Olive. Obviously, Olive knew everything that had happened already with Ariana and Grace last year, and she knew how much that Ariana did not like Grace. So then to find out that Ariana was working on this secret thing with Grace, and yet she had hid it, like, Ariana and Jet were both working on this secret thing together, and they just kind of left Olive out of it, especially when they knew that Olive was, like, vulnerable at that point because Adele had just left. I do think that was really, like, unfair on their part, and, like, I feel really, really bad for Olive in that scene, just because it's like, I feel like a lot of her rage probably came from the fact that, like, you know, she wasn't asked, and yet, like, Grace was, and the fact that, like, they chose to keep this from her. Like, not even the fact that, like, they were planning on doing the brawl, and, like, they wanted, you know, they were keeping it a secret from the team. It was more the fact that they kept it from her. But yeah, like, if you don't like Olive, then genuinely, like, get out of my channel, get off of my account, because we can't be friends if you don't like Olive. Like, the amount of slander that I've seen of Olive on TikTok is actually, like, heartbreaking, because I love her so much. Like, she's genuinely, I can't, like, actually describe how I feel when I think of Olive. Like, I love her so much, I can't. So yeah, of course, Olive is going to make it into my top 10. She would be higher, and I'm not saying that she wouldn't be higher, but there are just other characters that I do definitely prefer to Olive. Like, that's the only reason why she's only number 7. Like, I promise. I love her. I basically, how it goes is that from 1 and 2 are like, my 1 and 2 characters are like locked in, top tier. 3 to 7 are like the same level for me, to be honest. I just kind of had to rank them somewhere. Next character I feel incredibly passionately about, and again, I feel like she's in a lot of people's top 10s. She is our overachiever queen, dance captain of like after years of waiting, Dance Mania soloist. It is Rochelle. I think that the uncontrollable smile on my face is enough to like show you how I feel about Rochelle. Now, I remember for years I used to say that Rochelle was my favourite character just because that was before I like properly kind of educated myself on TNS, because that was when probably from like seasons from about 2021 until like 2024, when I was just kind of watching TNS, I was watching seasons 8 and 9 just kind of like on and off. Like, you know, I watched them when they first came out and then I just kind of put them to the back of my mind. I was like, Rochelle's my favourite character. Obviously, before I got to know like all of the other characters and everything, but Rochelle has always been a favourite for me. Like, I'm not going to deny that. And I really just think that like she's just, the more and more that I think about her, the more I fully understand her character. Like, I don't think it's fully possible for me to be able to understand Rochelle to the extent I'm going to use my very, very good friend, Edits by Ames, aka Ames Talks on YouTube, as an example here. She has, like, obviously I already loved Rochelle before, but after my conversations with her and about her headcanon to do with Rochelle and how complex Rochelle really is, she has helped me realise, like, more about Rochelle's character that I didn't necessarily notice before. I don't think I'm ever going to understand Rochelle to the extent that she understands Rochelle, but I don't think anyone could ever understand Rochelle to the point that she does, you know? Like, I think that she's very, very understandable for, like, a very select few people. I still struggle to understand her fully. And when you have a character that people, you know, you can't fully understand it unless you, like, are that kind of level of relating to the character and that kind of level of, it's very much to do with personal experience. I think unless you have personal experience, if you can't understand a character, that I feel like proves very, very complex writing, you know? Like, that is incredible writing in terms of like complexity. And I just think that, especially in the later seasons, I think my favourite season for Rochelle was probably season 5, just because even though people deem her as a bit of a mean girl in season 5, I like disagree with that completely, because I think she was completely valid for how she reacted in season 5. And I think as well, the older that I've gotten, the more that I've realised when people used to say stuff about how like she was rude, or like people didn't want to talk to her, or like the way that she would talk to other people was horrible. I am literally just like Rochelle. Like, the way that I react to situations is very similar to how she reacts to situations. So, for example, in season 5, when she loses out on Dance Captain, when she snaps at Lola, I think that she was valid for that. Obviously, is it good that she snapped at her friend? Not really. But do I think that, like, she couldn't control what she was doing? She wasn't thinking. And she was upset. I'm like, yeah, same. That's what I'm like. In season 8, when she gets really upset about the fact that everyone's planning on leaving her, same. Like, you know? And when Shad says the thing about how, like, she pushes people away when things don't go her way, I don't understand why, like, people villainize her for that, because that is a very real trait that a lot of people have. For example, I have that trait, which it upsets me, but it happens. And I think that, like, she is really, really complex as a character, and that you will really struggle to understand her, like, if you don't personally relate to her. But I just think that, like, she's a really incredibly well written character. I really just, I love her so much as a character. Like, I can't really describe it properly. Like, I really, really love her. My little baby. And plus, like, the edit potential of her on TikTok is actually insane. Like, she's also just, like, so involved in so many storylines in TNS. Like, for example, there's so many storylines where it's like, okay, yeah, Rochelle's involved in that. Like, oh, peak storyline, Rochelle's involved, you know? Her dancing, like, Brian Olay, I'm a firm believer that Brian Olay is one of the best dancers on the planet. Like, hate me who you want, but Brian Olay is one of the best dancers on the planet. You can't deny it, you know? Rochelle's dancing, incredible. Genuinely incredible. Like, they really, and I think as well with Briar, obviously Briar seems very, very different to Rochelle in terms of the fact that she doesn't seem as, like, kind of, I guess you could say, cold as Rochelle does. The fact that Briar can completely, like, transform into this character, into Rochelle, the way that we see Rochelle, and then also the way that we see Briar, I don't think that Rochelle and Briar seem that similar in terms of, like, obviously I don't know Briar personally, but I don't think that, like, in terms of the way that they have written Rochelle on the surface and Briar, I don't think they seem that similar. So the fact that she's able to get herself into that zone and be this character that Rochelle is just incredible. Like, it's incredible talent. So yeah, I love Rochelle so much. Like, that is why she's in place number 6. And again, it's a bit like with Olive, she would be higher, but there are just other characters that I find, like, that I connect with deeper and that I feel a lot more to, and that like I love a lot more. But again, as I said, from characters 3 to 7, they're basically kind of on the same level, but like we get progressively higher each time. Next, in number 5, this is where it gets fully Gen 3, by the way. So if you are a Nostalgia Warrior watching this and you're gonna get mad about this, please click off, okay? If you want to call me a fake fan or you want, go ahead. If you want to call me New Gen, go ahead. I've heard it all before. But anyways, in 5th place, we have our third boy on the ranking. He is the maestro, the season 9 dance captain. It is, of course, our king, Anthony, or as some people might want to know him, Branthony. So obviously we first saw Anthony in season 8, and when I first met Anthony, I thought, oh my god, we have never had a male character like this before, and I love him already. Because he was just this, like, first of all, he was a male character that didn't just do hip-hop, which is one thing that I really appreciate in TNS, because I feel like most of the male dancers that they have are hip-hop dancers. They're either hip-hop or ballet. Anthony is a contemporary or jazz dancer. Like, that's what his title is. I'm pretty sure he's, like, contemporary and jazz. He is not just limited to hip-hop or ballet. And I really think it's quite refreshing when they have TNS characters, like, that are boys, that aren't just hip-hop dancers, you know? I might be wrong, but off the top of my head, I can only name 4, like, male characters before Anthony that weren't hip-hop dancers, that weren't, like, solely hip-hop dancers, and those are Eldon, Daniel, Noah, and Ethan. And I just really think it's quite, I just love it when they have like male characters that aren't strictly hip-hop dancers, just because like they're not always hip-hop dancers, you get what I mean? Like, and they're not always ballet dancers either, you know? It's not always either hip-hop or ballet. They can be contemporary dancers, they can be jazz dancers. Oh, I forgot Alfie as well. Alfie makes it to that list. So yeah, when I first met Anthony and I saw the fact that he was like, I'm kind of a stressed out guy, but when I dance it just like helps me relax and everything, and I just thought he's such a little cutie. Like, he's so sweet. And I was like, okay, I had to take a brief intermission. I actually don't really know what I was saying. And I really like how they did make him the main character in season 9. Just because, like, he really did deserve it. And I do think that Anthony was a really good choice for dance captain. We don't seem to have that much, like, anxiety representation in TNS, especially not from boys. Like, we don't really see much. So it was really, really quite, like, something to actually see Anthony being a really stressed out guy, and we see his, like, you know, his breaking points. We see him getting stressed. We see him, like, he's just amazing. I really love him. In season 10, when he had the dance captaincy taken off of him and he had the whole scene with Izzy in the office, I genuinely like feel like crying every single time I watch that scene, just because of how emotional I get for him, because I love him so much, and I genuinely don't think that what he did in season 10 was that bad. Like, I feel like that was a Michelle and Eldon job, was to do the registering stuff for regionals, you know? Like, I don't think it was warranted taking his dance captaincy off of him and threatening to, like, remove him off of A Troop, you know? Like, it just... I really love Anthony. He's amazing. I love him. My little baby. I want a flag of him next. I don't know where I'll put it, but, you know. So now we're going to move on to 4th place. I love this character so much. She's so, like, iconic as a character. Season 9, she absolutely carried season 9. And she's just a really funny character. She was amazing for comedic relief, but she also did have some really good storylines as well. It is none other than Jet. Now, Jet obviously was introduced in season 8. I feel like she didn't really have much going for her in season 8. Obviously, she had the whole storyline where she had to keep, like, going to look after her brother. And I really like that whole kind of, like, connection to the family. Like, you know, and how we got to see her family dynamic, how we got to see like Xander helping her with her family stuff. And I do then really like how they then transitioned it into season 9, when making her a bit more, they made her more involved in Ariana's storyline, and I do think that making her and Ariana friends was a really nice decision for the characters, just because based on Jet's character, she doesn't really seem like the type of person that would be friends with Ariana. Like, you know, if you look at it on paper, they seem very, very different personalities, very, very different types of people. But making them best friends, I think, was a really cute decision, and like I really do love that they became as close as they did. Plus, I'm still absolutely mourning the loss of what we could have had with Jatari, but like that's aside from the point. Okay, I've made a whole video on this, but you need to stop. I mean, I literally have a flag of Jet on my wall, and if that doesn't scream love and committed, I don't know what does. And plus, as well, this is just a little shout out to Mila as well. Mila, in terms of the TNS cast, she's probably one of the most, like, active in terms of with the fandom, especially, like, last summer. I remember the amount of times she would go live on TikTok, she would go live on Instagram, and it genuinely did just, like, mean a lot that she actually did genuinely care about the TNS accounts. Like, she does care about the TNS accounts. She's always, like, you know, looking at the TNS accounts on TikTok. If you tag her in something on TikTok, then she will most likely see it and like it, you know. She's a really nice, she just seems like a really nice person, and I think that she plays Jet really, really well. Like, just the way that, like, she plays her, and I do like that Jet did get another little different direction in season 10, where Jet was doing the lesson about boundaries and being, it's okay to say no. You know, you need to set boundaries for yourself. You need to have enough self-respect to be able to say no to people. You need to have enough self-respect to realize that, you know, sometimes these people that you're surrounding yourself with, sometimes maybe they're going to upset you, and you need to, like, you know, learn that you're not always going to be the first choice, but you do need to find someone that is going to help make you a choice, you know, and that you're not just going to be waiting around for someone else to come and want you, you know, like, you need to actually go and get that, and you shouldn't just settle for second place. You get what I mean? So yeah, I really, really do think that Jet is just, she's such an incredible character as well. She's so funny. She has a lot of, like, deep moments as well. Like, she is quite, like, there is quite a lot to do with, she's quite a deep character if you really think about it. And I just love her. Like, generally, I really, really love her. I really do. Next up, in third place, is my French baguette-loving oak tree queen, Pascal. Now, I love Pascal so much. Like, genuinely, the amount of love I have for Pascal is, like, unparalleled. I love her so much. Am I mad that Pascal didn't really get a storyline other than being Heath's girlfriend? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I don't absolutely love her character. I also do think that I've seen a lot of people say that in terms of Gen 3, the two best dancers in it are Ariana and Pascal. I think that Pascal is the, like, best dancer in Gen 3, like the best female dancer at least. I think that she's the best female dancer in Gen 3, and she was only in 2 seasons. Gagged. I just think that Pascal as a character, she's really sweet. Like, I feel like she does get quite overlooked, again, because she does just kind of seem to be Heath's love interest. But as a character, she seems really sweet. I think that her and Heath were okay. They were quite cute together. But obviously, I still prefer her with Daisy. And I don't ship Heath and Pascal, but they were cute. You know, they had their cute moments, especially in season 9. I mean, when it gets to some of my favourite characters like Pascal, I can't really properly describe why I love her so much. I just do, you know, like, it's just this feeling that I have for her. It's like, I can't describe why and how I love her so much, but I just do. And I think something that's definitely contributed towards my love for her is, so last summer, TNS Nation on TikTok made this playlist on Spotify where she made Daisy, Heath, and Pascal. So it was all of the season 10 love triangle plot, songs from Daisy's perspective, songs from Heath's perspective, and songs from Pascal's perspective. I put them all together on one big playlist, and when I was on holiday last year for like 2 weeks, I was listening to that playlist non-stop. There are so many songs that I have now, like, when I think of, when I listen to them, I think of Pascal. For example, Right Where You Left Me by Taylor Swift, Because I Liked a Boy by Sabrina Carpenter, Skin by Sabrina Carpenter, You're Losing Me by Taylor Swift. There's so many songs on there that I just think of Pascal when I listen to them, like, and I just can't describe it. But, like, it's just, I think when you're able to connect a character to, like, media, like, when you're able to link media, like, other kind of media into a character, that's when, like, it really shows how much they mean to you. So, for example, when you're able to link songs to characters, I really think that it's quite a cute thing, you know, like, it's quite a good sign. So yeah, in summary for Pascal, love her, wish she had more screen time, wish she had a bigger storyline, want to see her in TNS tier. I know we probably won't, but want to see her in TNS tier. Love her. Baddie. Mackenzie Barbeau is also, like, my inspiration. I want to be her. So, okay, so we are getting to the last two. The last two for me, now, they have always kind of been, for ages I didn't want to decide on who came first and who came second, because both of these characters on their own are perfect, and together I think are perfect. And there is definitely a big clue behind me on who is spot number 2. And I think people might be quite shocked to find out that the 540 king himself, Mr. Mole, emo boy band curtains, Mr. Heathcliff is number 2. So yeah, I feel like this might come as a bit of a shock to people that Heath is my second favourite character from the Next Step, but wait until you see which character is first, and then I will do some explanation and you'll probably understand it a bit better. So Heath is probably, in my opinion, one of the most complex characters that the Next Step has ever written, like ever, especially his whole season 8 plot being with the mole. He felt that he wasn't listened to by his team. He felt very pushed out. He felt very like no one cared about what he had to say. He felt very isolated, and my opinion on the whole mole thing is he was completely valid for everything that he did. You know, like maybe he shouldn't have told the whole world everyone's secrets. You know, that wasn't the nicest thing to do. But I also don't think he had malicious intent by it. He needed to vent to someone, and he was really mad, and he didn't even realise what he was doing until he was so far in that he wanted to stop, and Tiara was like, no, you can't stop. I think that Carter's dancing just, like, again, takes Heath's character to a whole new level, and I really, really I know that Alicia, Mocking Ariana 3, has also said before, I really like the way that Heath plays, like, I really like the way that Carter plays Heath. I really do think that he plays him, like, perfectly. And I just think that he's settled into this routine now of how, especially when you see it in, like, seasons 9 and 10 or in TNS tier, the way that Carter plays Heath, you can tell that he's very comfortable with this character now. You can tell that he knows what he's doing with Heath's character now, and you can tell that he knows, like, what's best for him and what's best for Heath as a character. Like, you can tell that he knows how to act it perfectly. And, like, I just want to say as well, I feel like my opinions of the actors can also definitely change my opinions of the characters. And after meeting Carter in real life, Carter is my favourite actor of all time, by the way. Like, in case anyone didn't know, Carter Musselman, my favourite actor of all time. After meeting him and showing him my flag and having, like, genuinely the way that, like, he interacted with that, and just after seeing him in person and after meeting him, I genuinely, like, my opinions of Heath have gone way up, just because it's like, well, if the actor's as nice as the character seems to be, then, like, he must be, like, you know, the actor's amazing, so is the character, you know, like, in my opinion, I'm like, well, that just makes Heath even better because his actor is also amazing, you get what I mean? But I really do think that in season 10, do I like how they wrote Heath in season 10? Not really, because I do think that he was quite wasted with the love triangle plot. I would have loved to have seen him be dance captain, because I do think that it was kind of strange that they did the whole thing about how the 3 that they picked were, like, the most senior members on A Troop and everything, and it was Pete, Izzy, and Ethan, which, don't get me wrong, they're all senior members on A Troop. Heath had been in the show since season 6. They all came in season 7. If anyone wants to make a 6-7 joke, you're all getting blocked in case you're immature children. But overall, Heath, incredible character, so well written. He's so funny. He has, like, especially in TNS 2, I think that I really like how they did do a bit more comedic relief with him instead of relying on him to do all of the storylines, and they let the newer characters have a chance at doing that, because I do feel like that's what they relied on too heavily in season 9 with him, is that they tried to rely on Heath's character and doing this whole love interest plot with him, instead of giving some of the newer characters, like, a shot at, like, different kind of storylines. But I really like how they have done it in TNS tier, and I like the direction that they're taking for him in TNS tier, and I'm really excited to see him in part 2. Now, if anybody knows me who is watching this video, or, like, anyone that follows me on TikTok will know who character number 1 will be. It will not come as a shock to you that it is the Queen of Bow-Staffs herself, my amazing, my sweet angel, Miss Daisy. Now, you know how I said the thing earlier on about how with Edits by Ames, Rochelle being that character that I don't think anyone will truly understand just how much, like, she means to her, and I don't think anyone will ever understand Rochelle to the point that she understands, like, in the way that Ames understands her. That is how I feel about Daisy. I don't feel like anyone is ever going to understand Daisy to the extent that I understand Daisy. And that's not me saying, like, oh, well, like, I'm, like, her biggest fan and I understand her the most. Like, no, genuinely, just the way that she makes sense in my head and the way I think about her in my head is, like, I don't think anyone actually, like, could ever understand just how much I have thoughts about her and how much I understand her. One of the most emotionally complex and mature characters that TNS has ever written. She is, honestly, I've said this before, I'll say it again, Daisy is probably one of the most selfless characters in the whole of TNS. Everything that she did in the Next Step was for other people. She never did anything for herself. The only thing that she ever did for herself and that she actually let herself have was in season 10 when her and Heath finally got together, because it was something that she wanted, but she didn't think that he wanted it. And she thought that Pascal wanted him back. So she was like, instead of putting herself first, she decided to let Pascal have it. And, you know, I just think that in season 8, the reason why she didn't trust Heath is because she was thinking of the team, and she was thinking about the fact that he was going to betray the team. All that was on her mind in season 8 when she acted out in season 8 was because of the team. In season 10, when she came back, it was for Heath. She came back to say hi to Heath, and then she came back to join the team because she wanted the next step to win the brawl. She wanted the next step to have the money. She wanted the studio to have the money and be saved. She tried to get Heath and Pascal back together for their sake. She didn't do anything, even though she was willing to sacrifice her own happiness for Heath and Pascal. And I just think that she's probably like one of the most selfless characters like ever in TNS, and I just really, really love her so much. Obviously, I always kind of find it a little bit weird when I say that my two favourite characters are Daisy and Heath, and then that my favourite ship is Hazy, but I don't want it to be confused with the fact that I definitely don't think that I like Heath and Daisy so much because I like Hazy. Like, Hazy is just kind of like an accessory to that, you know? Like, Hazy is just kind of like the cherry on top, whereas everything else about the characters is completely different. Like, I could ramble about Daisy for hours, but again, I don't think I can truly put it into words to a way that anyone else is going to understand, because it's just something that exists in my head, and like my full understanding of it just kind of exists in my head, and it's something that I feel very, very connected to. She's a character that I see myself in so heavily. Like, I feel her character so much. I don't think I've ever felt more seen by a character in my entire life. And I really love her. I love her so much. I don't actually know if anyone spotted this, but I have got a photo of her back there next to the Heath flag. And then obviously she's on the Hazy flag as well. And again, Melody plays her so well. Like, the way that Melody plays Daisy is absolutely perfect. And a bit like with Carter, I feel like in season 10, she became very familiar with Daisy's character, and it was quite obvious that she knew what she was doing with Daisy at this point by now. And I do really like how in season 8 we saw this sassy, fun energy to Daisy, and then in season 10 we got to see a bit more of like an emotional side to her, because obviously Daisy doesn't really show her emotions that much. Obviously in season 8 she got a little bit emotional after she accused Heath of being a mole, and then she wasn't too sure about it, but we got to see a bit more of an emotional side to her where she wasn't happy and she was willing to stand up for herself with Heath. Instead of being able to, you know, like shut him down when he started like having a go at her, she was able to withdraw herself, and she was able to be like, do you know what, I don't want anything to do with you at the minute. I don't want to talk to you. We can be teammates for the sake of the studio. That's it. I don't want to talk to you. And I feel like it takes quite a lot of maturity to be able to understand that and reflect that. And I just really do think that they did a really good job with her character in season 10. And I will say as well, one thing that I do think was kind of wasted as a storyline for her is in season 8, episode 18, obviously when Kingston comes back, she goes to Studio One and does her pressure solo, and she's talking about how, like, she's not too sure if she fits in yet on the team, and that she feels like she's under so much pressure from everybody. I feel like we definitely could have expanded on that plotline. I feel like that plotline could have had so much potential to go further, and I'm a little bit disappointed that it didn't. But I also know that when they wrote season 8, obviously they were planning for season 9, and I think they probably were writing, especially when you look at how they wrote Heath and Daisy's like bond in season 8, I think they were definitely writing for a season 9 romance plot, but obviously their Melody couldn't do season 9. But I do then wonder if they would have added on to Daisy's whole like pressure and feeling things that deeply in season 9 if she'd have been in season 9. But in summary of Daisy, I love her so much. My actual sweet angel. Anyone wants to hate on Daisy and I'm gone immediately, you know, like, goodbye, no thank you. So anyways, that is the end of my video. I was not expecting it to be this long. I hoped it would be about 20 minutes, and I've been here for what feels like ages. I think it's been like an hour now. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that. If you want to let me know your ranking in my comments, please feel free to do that, because I really want to know what other people, like, what characters are in other people's rankings. So I always feel like it's really interesting to see which ones they have, because there's always at least one character that you don't expect to be in people's rankings, you know? Like, I feel like with mine, I feel like Max is probably mine. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't expect Max to be in my ranking, but he is. But anyways, if you enjoyed that, please make sure that you like, and if you're not already subscribed, please, I would appreciate it if you did. But anyways, bye guys!